a couple of days ago, we got the first 3 names of the elite specs that we will get with Visions of Eternity expansion for Guild Wars 2. They are for Mesmer, Thief and Elementalist. And today in this video, I will not give you my take on the lore and that kind of stuff. I want to speculate about the potential gameplay and mechanics of the spec, because the names can pinpoint a little bit more than the icons how the class might be looking like. So grab a cup of tea, enjoy the ride, let me know your takes in the comments down below. As always, special shout out to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon that help me keep the lights on. And now let's jump straight in. Let's start with the first class. So as you can see in this really nice spreadsheet that they gave us, Mesmer will get the Troubadour. So the loot icon goes to Mesmer. That was a lot of people predicted that one, and that's what we get. It's called the Troubadour and not the Bard and the Minstrel. What exactly does that mean? I'm not a linguist, or can you tell you why this is a perfect name for it? But I would say this is giving us the same gameplay that we would predict for a Bard or a Minstrel for the most part. We saw already that the Troubadour will get flute and a lute, so probably 2 and maybe even more instruments to play. How they will look like, I don't know of course, but I personally expect them to be some kind of kits. There are 2 ways to implement that. First, it could be that they are some engineer kits, so really utility skills that you can swap in, and then you have 5 new skills available as your weapon. That would be crazy, and that would be a lot of effort put into this spec, because that would mean probably we get 4 utility skills, 1 elite skill and 1 healing skill, and all of those would be kits, because that's exactly what we would expect there. 1 class of utility skills for the whole spec. That would be insane. That would be a lot of work, a lot of new weapon skills. I don't know how that will look like. Maybe they are a little bit simplified. You equip, for example, the utility skill being the loot, and they would just, for example, one of them would give you a buff that provides region. The next one will provide alacrity or something like that. So it's really just very simple, just a node, not a real attack. It's just one buff that you would need to press, and depending on maybe the order that you press it, maybe it empowers itself, something like that, but not too crazy in terms of attacks. But still, that would be quite a lot of weapon skills that we will get with those kits. So I think this is a very crazy way to do it. I think that would be insane, something similar to Weaver when we got it. But I personally expect this will not be really the case. I think the more likely scenario would be that we get utility, healing skills and elite skills that are something musical. I don't know, maybe there are even shouts in terms of classification, something like that. They could imagine that. But they are just some instant cast stuff that is useful in a lot of situations, but is not related necessarily to the instruments, or not are the kits themselves. The more likely variant that I would say, a little bit less effort that they need to put into that, would be that the F skills would become those kits, just like the Firebrand tomes. How that would interact, especially with the shatter mechanics, I'm not completely sure, but I could see that this is, for example, that the F1 skill will become, I don't know, the flute, an aggressive sound that you, aggressive melody that you play. And then you have the F2 skill is, for example, then the lute, and that would be changing a little bit how you play it. And that could then alter how you, for example, use your shatter skills. But I have no clue if that will be the case, because that again has some heavy implementation issues, not only with the already existing trait lines, how would that work with healing on shatters, and how would that work with the boons that you provide. It's very interesting. And would that have cooldowns, or would that be instant cast that you can swap in and out? I really don't know. I think that is a lot of cool stuff that they could do, but a lot of that would also require a lot of resources. I'm not sure if they wanted to do that with this kit, but let me know your take on that as well. Maybe you have some crazy ideas. I think this is my prediction, but like I said, I really don't know what the scope of those elite specs will be. And don't forget, we will get a preview of those 3 elite specs coming next week on Friday. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, I will do also a video about this one and summarize the live stream with the developers. So be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. And if you like this video, be sure to leave a like. That helps out my channel a bunch. But now let's talk about the next spec, which is the Thief. The Thief will get the Antiquary. And this will be the cards, just like a lot of people predicted. And I have to be honest, I did not expect getting the name of that. I thought something like Gambler or Trickster or something like that, because the cards seem like something that is really you would try to trick your enemies and use cards, tricks, or gamble a bit. That feels like very thiefy. Some kind of treasure hunter in an Indiana Jones style. I did not really expect to thief. It makes sense if it's like some kind of treasure hunter. I think that is somewhat close to the thief thing. I don't know anything and can't really predict anything about the gameplay, to be honest, because that's so far in like away from my fantasy of a thief that I can't really see how this works out, what the class mechanic, how the steal would look like, how that would interact with all the other traits. If you could get some more F skills, if you stay with some kind of steal and you just get some kind of, I don't know what kind of utility skills you would get that fit there. But we saw some attack with the script, we saw some kind of loot bags. I really don't know how that will play out, if that's just one attack, if this is like some kind of pet that you can summon. I could see that this is like, again, a companion spec, because that's what Thief doesn't have right now. Maybe we get some companions there. I could imagine that. Maybe you use some kind of relics that you, I don't know, dug up, and you use them like a shovel or something, and you can attack then with that. I have really no clue how this will interact with all the other Thief things and traits. But I'm really excited to see how that implements. I have to be honest, I'm a little bit skeptical if that's really like my favorite spec. I think the class fantasy is not perfectly what I like, but that doesn't mean it's not a good spec. I will definitely give it a try, and maybe hopefully actually will change my mind about that. Now let's talk about the last one, which is Elementalist. Elementalist got, like I predicted and a lot of other people as well, this flamey fox head icon, and it is called the Evoker. So it's not the Summoner, but it's quite close. And this name is, I would say, the most like standard name for an elite spec. I would say the other two are a little bit crazy, but this one is quite standard. And the Evoker is, like we predicted, some kind of Summoner, I would expect. We already saw in the trailer this flying fiery fox jackal mix that we saw. I'm not sure how it will play out. I think there are multiple ways they could do it. Either they will do it the boring way, and we will get like a F5 skill like Catalyst, and that's it. That's the summon that you get. We could get more summons via the utility skills, and that we get multiple summons and they stay around and linger around like really pets. That would be very interesting, because Elementalist already has baselines on summons, so you could really make some kind of elemental army, like a minion concept just for Elementalist. That would be interesting as well. I'm not so sure if I would like that personally, because I don't like the AI in Guild Wars 2 of the companions, but if it's something that I like more, then I would probably expect it to be something that is, I would say, more like some kind of short-term summons that you put out that it doesn't attack and then it goes away again. And something like in the order of some kind of druids spirits or renegade spirits, but maybe a little bit more active and not just some boring thing that you summon and it doesn't attack, that provides might and that's it. Maybe it's a bit more active and counterplayable. Maybe it's some kind of like a little bit maybe like phantasms for Mesmer, that you have some counterplay to them, and they are also very interesting and also change maybe depending on the element. That's another thing. I could see that you have this fiery fox for the fire element and you have 3 others depending on the element you are in. But I could also see that this Firefox is always the same. It's just all does its attack depending on the element that you're in. And the last option would be that this is just one of the utility or elite skills that you get. And you get in total 6 different skills, 1 healing skill, 1 elite skill, and 4 utility skills that are all summons like this Firefox. I could imagine this as well. What is the most likely scenario? I actually don't know. I think all of them are quite likely and not too hard to implement in my opinion. Not as hard as, for example, the Troubadour kits, to be honest. But we will see, and I'm really excited to see how it interacts with all the other class traits, because I feel like Elementalist has a lot of cool traits that can interact with that. And I really hope that those utility skills are also quite nice, because I feel like Elementalist has one of the worst core utility skills, and I hope that the utility skills that we get with this Evoker lead spec will be really good. I hope that will be the case. So, like I said, let me know your take on all those 3. That's the first speculation about the gameplay that we get with the elite specs. I will, of course, keep you updated. Like I said, Friday next week, we will get more information about that. And now, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick speculation about which gameplay we get for the elite specs. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks again to all my supporters, and I hope to see you all in the next video.